Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshmi Govinda Sita Gopal ki I am a good player, Dando. I'm a very good player.
Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kosho
Diva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kosho
Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kosho Namaste.
तुलसीदास बाबा जी महाराज की, श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्तिवेदांत ठाकुर की, वैष्णव साधु श्री जगन्नाथ बाबा जी महाराज की, श्री रूप श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ, श्री जीव गोपाल दास रघुनाथ सर्व स्वामी वृंद की, महाराज श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की, जुगधर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, अमापुराण श्रीमद् भागवतम की, गंगामाई की, जमुनामाई की, भक्ति कृष्ण महाराज की, श्री श्री राधा गोपाल कृष्ण सुगोदय शांतारती की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to Krishna, all glories to Krishna, all glories to Krishna, all glories to Guru and Guru, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Chera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yamuna Chera Vanachari Yamuna Chera Vanachari Yamuna Chera Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much to the devotees who have given me this service to share my not so huge realizations on the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is powerful because we can all read the same Bhagavad Gita and come up with all different things that pertain to our advancement in spiritual life. And it makes sense for all of us. The Bhagavad Gita is number one at relatability. Regardless of where you are at in your life, be you a devotee, be you a non-devotee, the Bhagavad Gita can give you keys to be able to perfect whichever circumstance. Pertaining to this verse we're going to be speaking about is looking at your spiritual life like a business project. Because definitely a business project, if looked at properly, the same principles applied into our spiritual life can help us advance spiritually. And let's see how. We can just try to maneuver it a few ways. So, we're reading today from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, entitled Karma Yoga, text 33. Sadrisham cheshtate svasya Prakrite jnanavanapi Prakritim yanti bhutani Nigraha kim karishyati Sadrisham cheshtate svasya Prakrite jnanavanapi Prakritim yanti bhutani Nigraha kim karishyati Sadrisham cheshtate svasya Prakrite jnanavanapi Prakritim yanti bhutani Nigraha kim karishyati. Sadhus. Sadrisham cheshtate svasya Prakrite jnanavanapi Prakritim yanti bhutani Nigraha kim karishyati. Sadrisham cheshtate svasya Prakrite jnanavanapi Prakritim yanti bhutani Nigraha kim karishyati. Word for word translation. Sadrisham, accordingly. Cheshtate, tries. Svasyaha, by his own. Prakritehe, modes of nature. Jnanavan, learned. Api, although. Prakritim, nature. Yanti, undergo. Bhutani, all living entities. Nigraha, repression. Kim, what? Karishyati, can do. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? Purport. Unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature, as it is confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter, text 14. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Therefore, even for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, it is impossible to get out of the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. There are many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose as advanced in the science, but inwardly or privately are completely under particular modes of nature, which they are unable to surpass. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with material nature, he is in bondage. Krishna consciousness helps one to get out of the material entanglement, even though one may be engaged in his prescribed duties in terms of material existence. Therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. Wow. No one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi or transcendentalist artificially. It is better to be situated in one's position and to try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Thus, one may be freed from the clutches of Krishna's Maya. Let's repeat the translation one more time. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. For everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? Hare Krishna. So, as we know, Krishna is refuting the different arguments and the different points that Arjuna has on a gross level expressed and on a subtle level is implying. In this verse, Krishna mentions that Prakriti Jnana, the Jnanavanapi. So Jnanavanapi is who? The person who has knowledge, right? The person who has knowledge, what does he do? Sadrisham chestate svasya, he works according to his nature. And not just him, but Prakriti Myanti Bhutani, because everyone else follows the nature that they've acquired. And then he finishes off with a question. Nigraha kim karishyati, what can repression accomplish? What was Arjuna trying to do here? Arjuna was trying to repress his nature in order to avoid his responsibility. What is Arjuna's nature? He's a Kshatriya. What is he trying to elude to be? A sannyasi. So, he's supposed to be a fighter, but because the battle is seeming to be extremely difficult, Arjuna is thinking, okay, how can I situate myself as a sannyasi, become renounced, the stitadhir that Krishna speaks about in the 2nd chapter, and not have to deal with my responsibilities? He's trying to artificially repress his nature because of a difficult situation that has come about. And that's a very powerful point because, let's look at it first in general. The world that we live in is working in this format. 99% of people repress their nature because social convention, family, society, standards, and everything external stipulates that things should be in a particular format. A kid is born having artistic skills. He's an artist. You give him a pen, he draws, He sees something and he's looking at it from a landscape perspective rather than just as a simple, external figure. He's an artist. But because socially we're being told that actually to be successful, you need to become a businessman, the parents do not support this kid's artistic endeavors, but force the kid to adjust himself towards being a businessman. And then fine, 20, 30 years later, he's in top 30 under 30, the richest of the entire world. But then what? Unfortunately, he is not happy. He is not happy. And then what happens? He's 50 years of age, has all the money in the world, alluded to drugs, illicit activities, loses his life. All because of what? Having to have forcefully repressed his own desires to satisfy the convention that's around him. Not having the ability to be honest and say that this is what actually gives me happiness, because his influences are so strong, made it super difficult for this person to live his dharma, to live his swabhava. All the 400,000 species of life are a mixture of the modes. And it's interesting because there's a wide, variegated number of people, but we all have a tinge of all these modes within us that have caused us to have different kinds of characteristics and attributes. Repressing our swabhava, repressing our nature, forces us to live a lie for majority of our life. And then eventually, live or finish our lives in regret. From where I come from, I've heard so many people who in their old age are saying, oh, I wish I could have done this, I wish I could have done that, I wish I could have done this. Very few are satisfied with what they have done. The way the world worked before, at least in our circumstances as, modern day souls on this planet, or existing in this particular lifetime, our predecessors had a different lifestyle. You were born as a doctor and you lived as a doctor for the rest of your life, and you were satisfied. You were trained in that way, and even if you were unsuccessful, you made that your firm. Even if you weren't happy, you made that your firm conviction, and you carried on. And so many of them ended their lives thinking, I wish I did this, I wish I did that, I never got a chance to explore this. Or they have a bucket list of activities that they want to do or that they would want to endeavor because they never got the opportunity or ability to exercise them earlier on in their life because the society did not allow for them to do so. This repression degrades the generations. I know personalities who have so many positive attributes, but just because of the mentality that's been fixated by the pervasive consciousness of their society, they have locked themselves from actually unleashing their true potential. Questions later. But this is why Krishna consciousness is fantastic. Because Prabhupada puts us in this house and forces us to figure out our nature in a stringent way so that we can see how we can contribute and gradually reach perfection. The devotees don't just tell you, go do this, but they ask you, what can you offer? What are your areas, what are your strengths? I was watching the video of Jadurani Mataji. Prabhupada went and asked Jadurani Mataji, what is your skill? What's your talent? I like to paint. Okay, come paint for Krishna. Engaging what she enjoyed doing naturally in devotional service, which gradually increased the intensity for her to be able to unlock different aspects of spirituality because she's engaging in activities that are true within her nature, and those are actually giving her the spiritual reciprocation because of her devotion. If we try to do things that are not of our nature, the tenacity to be able to keep it for a long amount of time is very difficult. And that's why even Krishna tells Arjuna later on that, okay, fine, you could choose to renounce. But if you go to the woods, somehow or other, Prabhupada elucidates in his purport, you go to the woods, you will find something to dominate over. You'll find animals, you'll try to kill them. And you'll try to affirm your superiority. You'll probably have to end up gathering because your nature is a Kshatriya. So the first main point I got from this verse is we just have to be honest and real with ourselves and work with our nature. And only by working with our nature can we be figured out nicely, because the framework's there. If a machine is working in a particular kind of way, for us to readjust this machine, we need to understand its basic baseline. Then we can maneuver the machine towards adjusting to different things. For us, understanding our nature at this kind of amount of time puts us in a position where we can intensify our devotional practice to ultimately become free from the modes of material nature and then be able to do anything and everything for Krishna. And that is what Srila Prabhupada did. He was at such an advanced state of consciousness that he could do everything: management, preaching, kirtan, this, that. Anywhere where there was a need for the development of Krishna consciousness, he managed, because he was not enclosed by the modes of material nature. And he says the same thing in the purport. Unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature. The modes of material nature will always give him the force, and so the only way we can get free from it is if we're on the transcendental plane. Simple. And Prabhupada was that person. Look at the things he did, how he was able to organize things from a political standpoint, to a social standpoint, to an economical standpoint. He was able to give so many conclusions on all different things that normally people wouldn't even have the guts to speak on with confidence. But he was able to explain all these things so powerfully and so critically in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, in CC, and in his classes and his preaching, because he was not situated on the transcendental plane. He was situated, on the transcendental plane. He wasn't situated under the modes of material nature. So that's the first point we can even get from the purport, that one who acts free from the influence of the modes of nature has to be on a transcendental platform. Because Mama Maya Duratyaya, Maya is very strong. So Maya will not allow you to succeed unless you're situated on a platform where she has no influence. Otherwise, if you're on a platform where she has influence, that's why even in the state of bhava, people can still fall, unless they're fully situated in the transcendental plane. Prabhupada then speaks about pseudo-spiritualists who outwardly act like saints but internally are struggling. Many people are like this, especially who preach different philosophies and try to express things from their own understanding, like the Kama Mimamsas. And also to some extent people like myself who will present ourselves as if we're such advanced individuals and as if we know everything and we're pure devotees, but then behind closed doors Maya is punching us in the neck, in the gut, everywhere, and we're fully attacked. And Prabhupada is telling us this why? Because Krishna consciousness is not an artificial pursuit. It requires realism. We have to accept that this is our position, that I am not that person. And so I need your help, Prabhupada. I need your help, oh dear devotees. I need your help, Krishna, so that I can be on that platform that can be useful for your devotional service, my Lord. Because devotional service is the only way that we can be disentangled from this Maya. And Prabhupada makes that as a strong fact. Only through chanting and engaging in devotional service can Maya free us from her entanglements. There's that verse in CC. I don't remember it word for word, but basically the verse says that there's darkness and there's light. Those who are in the darkness, those who are in the light can never be overcome by darkness. So one who's actually situated and engaged in devotional service properly, in the right mood, in the right, following the instructions of our authorities, can never be enclasped by the disturbances of Maya, because they're strongly situated. And what makes them even strongly situated more is that they're working according to their nature. So the services and the things that they're doing are things that are enjoyable to them based on the body that they have. And so this verse kind of also forces me to be in a situation where I need to be honest about the activities that I enjoy doing that actually give me pleasure, that in a normal circumstance, and see how I can dovetail this in devotional service so that it doesn't reach a point that my tenacity breaks, but I can carry on doing things that I enjoy and directing them to Krishna. It's like when Tamal Krishna Maharaj was mentioning that he told Prabhupada that I like being praised, I like being the center of attention, and so he said, then use that to bring people closer to Krishna. And that's a powerful thing, that he did something that he enjoys naturally, but engaged it in devotional service. And look at so many people who took shelter of him, who, followed him as a spiritual master, and look at the things that they're setting for the rest of the world. Amazing, wonderful preaching and sharing Krishna consciousness, because he did not neglect his individuality, he did not neglect his nature. So we have to do this. And at times, doing this might not be the best of things, because you have to look yourself in the face and acknowledge that some of the things that you enjoy doing might not be the most Brahminical, the most Sattvagun. But by being honest there, you're now trying to, work your way up to, how can I purify myself so I can engage whatever abilities I have in Krishna's service. And this is where that point of working on spirituality like a project comes. His Grace Sutapa Prabhu was mentioning this very nicely, that when people have a business project, they work on it with such full intensity and meticulousness, focus, analysis. And when their business becomes successful, it is clear why it's successful. So why not apply the same principle and mood and focus in our spiritual life? The person trying to start a business will ask himself, what field, what market am I trying to penetrate in? Where can I be happy in my business endeavors? Similarly, as a devotee, what position can I situate myself in that I can experience what I want to experience? The different people who come to Krishna consciousness, they have different motives. But what do I want to experience? And as you do the research in the business side of things, you're researching, this is the best market to penetrate. In Krishna consciousness, you're reading Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, and seeing, Prem is what I need to be establishing, is what I need to be getting to. And so from there, you can logically and systematically work out, just like the businessman, how do I get there? What are my alliances? You'll go look for people in your business who actually understand your goal and ideals. In Krishna consciousness, you look for the personalities who understand that goal and ideal of Prema Bhakti. And who is that? The Rasika Bhakta. So your endeavor has to be to get to the Rasika Bhakta, same way the businessman has to get to those people who would actually invest in him, isn't it? From there you get the guidance, the steps, the processes. Everything is laid out in the Shastras by Prabhupada, so the journey becomes much quicker and easier. So we have to actually be strategic, which is amazing. And from that endeavor, actually even Prabhu was mentioning, we're showing Krishna that we're trying. We're trying everything systematically from our space to reach somewhere. And definitely the devotees see that we're trying. They see that they will, help us carry on. They'll push us, they'll motivate us, they'll give us guidance, give us blessings, pray for us, so that we can be situated on the proper platform. So we have to treat our spiritual life like a project of greatness, a lifetime project. I remember coming here and thinking, when is the Prem coming? Tomorrow? I was talking to all these devotees, and then when I saw Bhakti-rasamrita Swami with the danda, I thought, no, that's the person I should be speaking to. All these people are just a waste of my time. Thinking that it's something you can get so cheaply, so quick, so easy. But actually, intensity needs to be there. And Krishna is the same one who tells Lord Brahma that you've been successful. Why? Because of your intense tapasya. Because tapasya and I are non-different. So if you're trying to reach the goal without tapasya, will it really happen? Krishna says he's non-different to the tapasya of the Brahmins. He eats from the mouths of the Brahmins. So tapasya is our only way to actually get there. And so we have to strategically plan ourselves like we will with the project. What steps do we need to make? And just like you get your alliances, you have your seniors in Krishna consciousness who are guiding you and helping you see what path is best for you to take, giving you the red light where needed and giving you the green light where needed. And then they literally carry us towards the perfection that we would want to have. And then they make the things that are there in the scriptures become possible. Otherwise, if we try to do it by our own praman, then this could just end up being another nice storybook. But we want this to be our life. So the same intensity we would put in different circumstances should be the same, if not more intensity that we should put into our Krishna consciousness. Never forgetting that it's a journey, and then the journey starts nicely if you're honest about your position. I give the analogy of a Google map, because on Google Maps, only can you find out how to get to your final destination if you place in your current location. If you don't have your current location, it will not guide you on how to get to your final destination. But as soon as you put your current location, that this is where I'm at, immediately a line is formed of where you need to turn left, turn right, do this, do that to get to your final destination. And so similarly, we need to be honest about where we're at currently in our spiritual life, at least with ourselves. And that's been something I've been trying to do, because I always thought I was a sage. And then now reality has kicked in that that's the last thing that I could ever be at the moment. And so now I need to work my way by the guidance and the tools that Prabhupada has given, that the senior devotees have given, following that process, Like Srinivas Prabhu mentions, the process is clear. You just follow it, and if you're serious, you get the goal. And so some level of intensity has to be there, some level of tenacity, some level of faith. Tenacity is the ability to withhold pressure even if it's becoming too much. Having that force constantly pushing, even when external circumstances are beating you down, you're always going to push yourself up. Even if you fall, you're picking yourself up, you're always moving. Even if things come and break you down, you get sick, this and that. And that's why, devotees like His Grace Janakinath Prabhu are so exemplary, because they show us that actually tenacity is the key to prosperous spirituality, alongside sadhu sangha, of course. But you can see, time after time, he's going to hospital, having to go through all these treatments, etc. And he still goes through the process. He's reading Shastra, he's chanting his rounds, he's trying to preach, trying to encourage devotees, still following the process that's been stipulated with strength, even though externally it might be super difficult. I was speaking to one devotee in a sangha, and he was from Vrindavan, and I probably finished with this point. And he was serving Indra Prabhu. And Indra Prabhu told him, stay in Vrindavan. But he said, no, I want to go to Switzerland. And so he went to Switzerland with his wife. And then what did he decide to do? He decided to buy a motorbike. And so he bought the motorbike. And then what happened? He got into an accident. And what happened to him when he got into an accident? He broke his left arm. He was a mridanga player. So he goes to hospital in Switzerland, has no insurance. The bills are piling up like crazy. He's so frustrated, he's not chanting his rounds. So what does he do? He reaches out to Indra Prabhu. What does Indra Prabhu tell him? This is the closest you are to death. Intensify your sadhana. Chant more, read more. Stop thinking that just because your hand's not working that you're not going to perform your bhajan. Perform your bhajan. Have that tenacity. And at first he was fighting it, and he was like, really, you're going to tell me this when I've broken my hand and I have a debt of like 60,000 euros to pay? But he did. He listened to Indra Prabhu, and now he's in Vrindavan and has been in Vrindavan ever since, increasing his tenacity. Still having to pay his bills, he's slowly finishing them off, but he kept on with the tenacity. And that's the thing, that intensity is something I even wish to one day have. When I'm sick, I'll end up starting to chant my rounds at 7 p.m. But he's a person who's going through chemotherapy and all these things, and he's chanting his rounds every morning. Or as soon as he's up, he has his bead bags at hand. That is tenacity. And that also comes with faith. There's that 10-80-10 rule. I don't know if you've heard of the 10-80-10 rule, where in each and every organization or system in society, there's 10% of people who have strong faith, 10% of people who lack faith, and 80% who are in the middle. So where are you, honestly? And if you figure where you are, then you can push yourself to the 10% who have full faith. But if you keep on lying to yourself, if you're not realistic, if you're not strategically planning yourself with intensity and focus, taking the guidance of the seniors, you'll remain in the 80%. And when no results breed, you move to the 10, latter 10. So we need to be honest. We need to be real. Arjuna is being forced to be real. He made the proper decision. He fought. So he was honest and accepted that I'm a Kshatriya, so I have to fight. And I'm not going to run away from my duty just because of a difficulty. Similarly, if difficulties come based on our nature, it doesn't mean we have to divert our nature, but it's how can we utilize our nature for the best benefit of a higher cause, which is devotional service. And so hopefully if we can do that, If I can do that, definitely, then I could be more blissful in my Krishna consciousness and not be a depressive, worldly person who's always thinking, oh, I'm such a failure. And that's why Prabhupada even finishes and mentions, better get training. So he says, it is better for one to be situated in one's position and to try attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Shouldn't be whimsical. We need to go through the process, hear from the seniors, and from there we can be guided. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, clarifications, corrections?
Thank you, Ru, for the class. And very nice points. I'm stuck with one though, which is that we need to be honest with us and like find the things we like doing and that give us some pleasure. But what I find myself often in is like there's this laziness even with that, you know. Like I know this is something I like doing, but it takes quite some endeavor to get to the enjoyment still. It's like it's not immediate enjoyment. So I rather, you know, stay inactive or cannot really get to this point of enjoyment, if you know what I mean. So what would you say, how can we overcome this laziness and like inertia and, you know?
So inertia from gratification. You have something that's giving you gratification, but you're choosing to not perform it because of the laziness of this energy.
Yeah, it seems to be too much of an effort to eventually get to the gratification.
What would you settle for? To have no reciprocation whatsoever, so you'll just chill? There must be something that gives you gratification in many things.
That laziness is more pleasurable than what you want to go for in your soul.
So if your laziness is more pleasurable, then be honest. You go to the sadhus and you tell them, this is what and then they can clearly open your eyes and remind you that laziness is a quality of the mode of. So if you want to get out of that, this is what you have to do. And then to the extent with which you follow those instructions, the same thing, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. He gives us the intelligence like that. And also, sometimes it's difficult, isn't it? Like you know that this is what you need to do. You know that you do get some gratification from it, but to actually do it, it's long, you know? Expressing that weakness to Krishna to give you taste to carry on with that is also very helpful. And that's why the power of prayer, I think, is quite powerful as well, even though I don't take advantage of it all the time. You know, just to like play, like I enjoy doing dramas, but I've chosen not to do a drama now. Krishna, please give me the motivation, the psyche, the enthusiasm to do this for you. So probably to some degree, we have to cry out, I need help. Mahamantra, I need help. SOS. Hare Krishna. I hope that answers your question.
I had a story I reminded as you were speaking of. They were approached an elderly couple, and they've been together for 50 or 60, 70 years, very long time. And so this person asked them, how did you stay together for so long? Like you never disagreed or wanted to get separated or anything like this. And they said, you know, in our time, when things would break, we would fix them. We will not buy a new thing. But people now have become so used to buy new things and not fix the old ones. So our relationships are the same. When we have difficulties in our relationship, we try to fix them, and in this way they become better and renewed. But nowadays, people just throw away the relationships and find some better ones. So we came from the time where we would fix our things. So that was a story from the ancestors.
Jai. Yeah, and so if you can fix it, understand where you need to work on things. Like I know of a couple who got married at 24 years of age, and before their marriage, they went to couples therapy. People normally go to couples therapy after marriage, after 10 years of not being able to deal with each other. Now we need help. They got the tools from the beginning.
My point I'm saying, because when we are able to tune into our dharma, because you were mentioned about professions,
Yeah.
that people would stay in the same profession even if it's not going well, and they said, I chose this, so I stick with it. So if we can apply that in our life to our dharma, if we find our dharma.
Yeah, if we find the dharma.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing is, you do something
Yeah.
for 50, 30 or 50, 60 years, and it's not your dharma, so you're in a repressed state of consciousness, isn't it? So that's why, like, even with me giving that example of this couple, because you mentioned the couple, is looked for tools to fix their situations, because they found that that's what they wanted to do for the rest of their life. They wanted that to be their responsibility.
But then comes the question, do we find the dharma or the dharma finds us? Do we endeavor to change and find a thing which we will fit, or we will endeavor to fit in the thing which we already are at? We are already, presently, each one of us in a, can be a job, can be like a temple position. Will we endeavor to maintain and find our dharma within the space where we are, or we will step into new fields to rediscover or reawaken our deeper dharma? And that's, it's a very personal
Yeah,
issue.
and nothing stops you from doing both.
Yeah.
Nothing stops you from exploring
very
both.
personal.
Yeah, it depending on what steps you choose to take, isn't it? Some people will choose to work based on the situation that they are in. Others will choose to take a bold step and be in a particular.
So what are the factors that we can use to discern our choices? In order for us to make a conscious and well-informed choice, what are the factors to consider and to put into place for each one of us
Yeah.
to be able to take better steps in life in relation to maintaining and deepening what is already here or exploring new fields? What would you take into consideration? What kind of
I would definitely take into consideration those who have taken shelter of, who understand me, to give me the guidance also, especially from a spiritual standpoint, because I'd be looking at it from us trying to deepen our Krishna consciousness based on what our nature is, etc.
So one point would be like advice or like reciprocation of seniors or close friends. But that is a factor. What other things in your thought process? Because ultimately we need ourselves make the choice. We need to be thoughtfully independent.
Yeah.
What other things? That is one, which is what are the seniors telling us. But we need to go beyond that because it's our choice, it's our life.
Yeah, definitely. So your own introspection also takes importance there. You having a self-internal analysis of what you're doing, asking yourself if you're happy, if you're well situated, if you're looking at the goals and the things that are available for you, is that something that you want to do? And if you want to do it, then you can work on it, isn't it? So that's where, from that internal reflection, from yourself, self-analyzing, that's why even the seniors always tell us, or I've even been told by my friends, journal, try to have that introspective state.
Okay, can I put
isn't
the
it?
question in another way? Related to Dharma, still like living our Dharma, finding our mission. If we are persecuting a goal or a business plan, let's use the metaphor of a business plan, which will bring us a certain accomplishment. Let's say we can get 50,000 euros, 50,000. And in 1 year or 2 years we get to that goal. But suddenly a certain opportunity is coming to our life. And, what I mean is that a big factor which we must consider is goal in our projects, in our Dharma. Like we can have a material Dharma, like Varnashram Dharma, and we can also have a spiritual Dharma. We have a Svadharma and
Naimetika Dharma. Yes, Sanatan. Well, at least for our spiritual one, we know Jivara Sarupa Hoy, Krishna Nitya Das.
Yes, if a higher goal comes or a project which brings a higher reward, we must go for that.
Yeah, that's why people, they'll ditch all their plans and become devotees, because they end up finding the bigger vision, isn't it? Like His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami, all these PhDs, he would have been in a job that was just millions of pounds. He'd have been a millionaire. But he found a higher goal, and then boom. And that's another thing, like Krishna consciousness, and that's its power. That's why, that's the statement that says that Krishna fulfills all your desires. What does it mean? It's not that he'll give you everything you ask for, but he'll also make you change the things that you ask for also. The significance of the desires that you previously had lessen. And so he's satisfied you because you don't have the desire anyway. The objective of having a desire is that it becomes fulfilled. So if he eradicates the desire, then technically the desire is fulfilled. So you don't need to pursue it anymore by giving you param drishva nivartate, higher taste, higher goals, higher aspirations like that. That's how I'd look at it.
That's a very nice point. And I was thinking also, the point of doing what you already do, but just with a changed vision, right? Instead of exploring all the other fields and, trying to, what is my dharma? And, but if you develop yourself spiritually, and if you come more to the mode of goodness, then you can rather change how you do something than like the external action, right? You can do the same job, but have a totally different concept.
Yeah, change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, yeah.
Yeah, and you give up the attachment to your fruits and all these things, right? And then use it ultimately in Krishna service. And
yeah.
Often I think like this, Sometimes I'm thinking like, what should I do with my life? I could do this or that. But then at other times I think like, I just do anything, and just try to serve Krishna with that, right?
Which is not a bad way to think, but eventually it would reach a point, and that's why we're talking about tenacity, that if it's not in tune with you, you won't be able to hold it for so long. Like I can give you the example of myself when I would wake up early at 1:30, 2 o'clock for 7-8 months. I couldn't hold it on for 2 years because it wasn't really my